In 1951, in the city of Detroit, a young man is born, a colored boy, who soon notices what loss is. Because being a young man, the father leaves. And the mother stays, a woman who had no studies. A woman who had dedicated herself to taking care of her children. And is in the situation of having to raise a family. Without any economic aid coming in at that time. She cleans apartments. To clean hospitals, etc. And of course, when one has lived in Detroit as I have lived. I worked at the Henry Ford Hospital, in neurosurgery. When you have lived there, you realize that Detroit can be exciting, but at certain times in history, it has been quite a difficult city. In the 1950s, there really was apartheid. A kind of apartheid, that is. People of color had to sit in different places than white people. They had to go to different toilets, etc. And this boy was colored, he was a poor boy. And that was soon standing out. Not because of his talent, but because of what they considered to be his stupidity. Nor for his serenity, but because of his tendency, his violent temperament. Anyone who had a crystal ball, I would have imagined that this boy would end up, without a doubt, in a prison in the United States. If not killed in a fight between opposing gangs. He spent his time, he forgot his sad condition, watching television, until one day, their mother decided that they were going to watch less television. And they were going to spend more time reading books. And force them to read books. Going to the public library, since they couldn't buy them. Young Benjamin began to fall in love with books. One fine day, he arrives at school. I want you to understand that I had the worst grades. His performance was frankly pitiful. The grades were lousy and, logically, in a short time he would be expelled from school. But there was a teacher, the science teacher, that he was truly a teacher. He believed that in every human being there is greatness and potential, and that the mission of a teacher, it is to help that potential unfold and flourish. But I couldn't get this guy to respond to the various attempts I had made to gain self-confidence. One day, the teacher appears with a very rare stone, holds it up in front of the class, and asks, "What's this?" There is a silence, because nobody knows what that is. Except for one person who you can already imagine who he was. Benjamin. But Benjamin was the class fool. The first question is, why did you know? I knew because in the public library, I had read science books. And by chance or synchronicity, who knows? I had found books about minerals. And there was a picture of that stone. But do you think the class fool dares to speak? No, because you yourself kill the answer before it is born. It's impossible, if the rest don't know. I must be wrong, even though I seem to be right. But the professor held the rock. Does anyone really know what this rock is? And timidly young Benjamin raised his hand. When someone only watches the performance and only judges others, it is very easy to say, "Benjamin, how are you going to know if you don't know anything?" But that professor kept a curious spirit, interested. He knew that in every human being there is greatness. He was looking for her, calling her constantly. "Benjamin, do you know?" "Yes." "What is it?" "Obsidian." "Correct." But the teacher could have said, "Everyone can be lucky." I could have said that, but no. Because he was looking. The thread that leads you to the skein. He said, "Do you know anything else about obsidian?" And boy did young Benjamin know. Began to talk about obsidian, the extremely high temperatures. Then the cold, how the rock crystallizes, and so on. What might seem like a simple thing. No more importance banal. Mark day before and after in the life of this boy. Because he regained his self-confidence. Believed that it was possible to learn. Believed in himself. Believed that, despite his sad birth so to speak, could have a bright future. This boy went from being the last of the class to be the best student in your school. Made your deepest dream come true. That it was impossible to be a doctor. He was the best child neurosurgeon in history. Professor Ben Carson. Ben Carson in 1987 did an operation to separate two conjoined twins conjoined at the craniencephalic level. All surgeries performed up to that time to separate a craniopagus, this craniencephalic malformation. All the children had died on the operating table. In this operation in 1987, 70 medical professionals intervened and lasted 22 hours. The two children went ahead. They lived and were well and healthy. He applied special cardiac surgery techniques to neurosurgery. No one had thought of it. So what I want to convey is this is an example of how in every human being there is potential. In every human being there is greatness. And we have, I understand, to have this provision to create spaces of opportunity so that these people can show what in reality they always have and always will. But that not everyone will show if they do not see that space of opportunity.